Coming up in Our News Weekend, Joe Biden elected the 46th President of the United States. Meanwhile, the Northwest Bahamas remains under tropical storm warning. Plus, Bahamas are confident in its bubble plans.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, the Weekend Edition, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Joe Biden has been elected the 46th President of the United States. The news came after a victory in Pennsylvania put the Scranton-born Democrat over the 270 line, defeating President Donald Trump. The win came after more than 3 days of uncertainty as election officials went through millions of mail-in votes. 77-year-old Biden has also received the highest amount of votes of any presidential candidate in the U.S. Here at home, congratulatory messages have already begun pouring in. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis extended his best wishes, saying, "I am confident that the warm and friendly relations existing between our two governments and peoples will be further strengthened." Former Prime Minister Perry Christie posted a picture on Facebook saying, "Congratulations to my friend, President-elect Joe Biden, on becoming the 46th President of the U.S." Opposition leader Philip Davis also congratulated Biden and Harris on their election victory, saying the Progressive Liberal Party looks forward to working with the new administration on a number of national and regional issues of mutual concern and interest. Well, of equal importance, the Vice President-elect, Kamala Harris, the first woman and first person of color to ever be elected to the post.
We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next President of the United States.
Meanwhile, the Bahamas remains under tropical storm warning as Tropical Storm Eta makes its way over Cuba. Meteorologists say we can expect tropical storm conditions across most of the Northwest Bahamas. Widespread rain showers, scattered thunderstorms, and winds gusting to tropical storm force should begin tomorrow and continue into Monday. Though Eta is now a tropical storm, there's a likelihood it could weaken as it crosses Cuba tonight. Those in Andros, New Providence, and the Berry Islands should begin feeling conditions beginning tonight, and it's projected there could be some 8 to 12 inches of rain, with most of it over Andros and the Berry Islands. Well, we spoke with that area's Member of Parliament, Carlton Bolek, who said he lives there and is prepared to ride out the storm with them.
We went and checked all the shelters to make sure that everything was intact. And right now we are watching to see exactly what path this storm is going to take. Just came from the Berry Islands. Everyone is in place over there, all prepared. Just landed back here on the ground, and we're just watching it now. You know, after Hurricane Matthew, we don't take anything for granted right now, and we do whatever is needed to be necessary. Just continue to monitor this storm. You don't never know. We trust the eye and listen to the weather forecast and make sure that we keep a closer look at it, because it is going to be coming over warm waters. So, like I say, I just encourage the residents to be alert and do not to put their guards down.
The Ministry of Health reported 31 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 yesterday, pushing the total to 6,947. 15 of the new cases were reported on New Providence, 7 on Grand Bahama, 6 on Eleuthera, 2 on Exuma, and 1 on Abaco. A 66-year-old New Providence man also passed yesterday as a result of the virus. But as the Ministry of Health notes the drastic drop in the number of confirmed cases, the president of the Consultant Physician Staff Association is questioning recent remarks by the Minister of Health regarding that decrease. Georgia Bain has more.
President of the Consultant Physician Staff Association, Dr. Sabrika Pinder-Butler, said she believes there are several reasons why COVID-19 numbers are down, and they do not point to a decline in cases. Her comments come days after Minister of Health Renwood Wells touted the government's success in the fight against COVID-19, citing what he termed a rapid decline in cases.
Perhaps if one person in a home is found to be positive, the other persons do not feel the need to be tested. We've had that challenge from before, and similarly, we're finding that it's still a struggle just to get persons to go in to get tested. They may have symptoms, they may call in, but they're not willing to go and get tested.
According to Pinder-Butler, persons are getting more comfortable treating their symptoms at home and are choosing to self-medicate rather than get tested.
We've been talking about COVID for so long now that I think a lot of persons are familiar with the symptoms. And certainly we've been talking to a large degree as well in terms of prevention efforts, making sure persons take their vitamins, get rest, make sure they take care of themselves in terms of their mental health and that sort of thing. And, doing all those preventative measures like wearing your mask, social distancing, and staying home as much as possible as you can. And I think that may have also been a factor in terms of what we're seeing.
The CPSA president also called into question the criteria for testing.
I'm not sure what the capacity of the tests now that are available in the government are, if our numbers are still the same, if they're lower. I know that we were using certain criteria to allow persons to get tested, and so that perhaps is also a factor. So because there's so many different factors that can be a part of it, it is not correct to necessarily say that this implies that we have a decrease in our COVID cases in particular.
Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
As mega resort Bahamar begins contacting 1,500 employees set to return to work for the December 17th reopening, the resort's president, Graham Davis, says he's confident in their plans to operate within a bubble of sorts. Guests will be tested upon arrival and employees will be tested weekly. While there is some concern regarding the U.S. market, which continues to see a surge in cases, Davis says the resort has a plan.
What's important to know is that we can create a safe environment, that the testing protocols that we have in place will allow us to open, even with those surging cases going on in the United States. I think New York, our main market, is doing a great job in keeping those cases very low. I think they're one of the best in the country. And they also have a quarantine in place on the return. We're offering our guests to get a RT-PCR test here on property to be able to go home and be able to skip the quarantining when they get back.
Davis says from what he's seen locally, the downward trend in the number of cases is promising and has been one of the main factors with the resort moving forward with its phased reopening.
I think the government is doing a great job in ensuring that they can keep these cases coming down. I know it's a struggle for many of us, but I think we're heading in the right direction here to start seeing ourselves open back up in a safe fashion. And that's the most important, is everybody wearing their masks, socially distancing, sanitizing, and where you can test.
The Grand Hyatt and Bahamar's Casino will open December 17th. The Rosewood and SLS at Bahamar are scheduled for a February reopening. Davis says what's most important is that the resort reopens safely.
We have purchased thousands of test kits to ensure that we can test quickly and appropriately our guests, our associates. We've found a certainly economical price point to be able to do massive testing for our associates as well. And I recommend that for other businesses to do that, and certainly for the community and the government to continue testing as much as possible so we can break the chain.
Bigger hotel properties are looking more attractive to visitors, according to Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar, who said some Airbnbs are having a hard time with restrictions in place.
Maybe a bigger property is more attractive because you can go into the bubble and you can have a wonderful vacation. And so, until we get community spread under control, you're going to have to say, okay, now how is this going to operate? If you go to most islands in the Caribbean, they create a bubble from you get in a pre-booked mode of transportation to your hotel. Your hotel is your bubble. You can't come out of that. If you want to go to another hotel, you can, because that's another bubble. So you can move bubble to bubble.
Both Atlantis, Paradise Island, and Bahamar will begin phased reopening in December in a bubble. The two large properties will reopen some restaurants and have other amenities, as well as the beach for guests. De Aguilar said, unfortunately, for smaller properties and Airbnbs, the pandemic has made it hard.
There's always a push for more and more and more. So let's open up the restaurants. Let's open up the Airbnb, what are Airbnb customers going to do? This is living with COVID. I mean, in pre-COVID, an Airbnb type product was probably attractive.
But De Aguilar says other countries in the region are moving along with the same trend with hotels.
In Lucia, for example, all returning citizens and residents have to go into mandatory quarantine, but the guests can go to a hotel and they can move from hotel to hotel. So they've recognized, look, the reality is we need this tourism product to get up and going. And while we want to impose different restrictions on different groups. It's just we have to do it. We have no choice. And so it may seem a little discriminatory to some, but you know, this getting this tourism sector and as tourism dependent as we are, getting this up and running is just so critical.
Promotions, new appointments, and reclassifications in the public service will be put on hold for a while. That's according to Minister of Public Service and National Insurance Renzo Roll, who says the freeze is a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic and its lasting impact on the economy. Here's Jasmine Brown.
The Public Service Minister was asked for an update on whether the freeze on promotions is anywhere near coming to an end. Speaking candidly, Roll said that's not happening right now, as he insisted many in the public service realize how dire the financial situation is.
That promotions, new appointments and reclassifications must be put on hold for a while, and they have accepted that.
It was first revealed in May that the government planned to freeze all civil service hirings, promotions, and salary increases in a bid to limit the size of a potentially massive 2020-2021 fiscal deficit. At the time, the Bahamas Public Service Union President Kingsley Ferguson slammed what he called the very insulting and disrespectful way that he and other union leaders were informed, given that it appeared the decision had already been made without any consultation. Now, months later, with the country in the throes of the second, more deadly wave of COVID-19, Roll says public servants are more understanding.
The public service has been extraordinarily cooperative.
Roll also pointed out the fact that frontline workers continue to work hard, as he insisted they deserve more than just recognition.
Members of the public service, the police force, the defense force, the nurses and the doctors, all of the majority of whom work directly in the public service. I want to continue to congratulate them for their sterling effort, working on the front line, making sure that we all stay well and keeping our community safe. And so we realize that we've got to do something for these individuals that are separate and apart from the rest of the service.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, Bahamas Air's international flights to resume soon. Plus, how a little girl is hoping to brighten Christmas for other kids. Stay tuned.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. A bundle of confusion is how opposition leader Philip Davis described the government's move to jumpstart the tourism industry. Here's Jolene Gray.
The government should rethink its move of eliminating the rapid antigen test for visitors upon arrival, according to leader of the PLP, Philip Davis, who said that is not in the best interest of the Bahamas.
I urge the government to revisit that regime that they've set up for reopening. I'm not saying we ought not to open. We need to open, but we need to open wisely, setting up protocols that will protect our people. Please discharge your responsibility to our people.
Though Health Minister Ranward Wells touted a lower positivity rate in the country, Davis said the virus is still out of control, adding that the government has bungled the rollout of tourism protocols. The opposition leader also said the government seems to have paid more attention to visitors than to the workers who will be interacting with them.
The opening does not seem to take into account, the health of hotel workers. It appears that more attention is being paid to the tourists and not enough being paid to workers in the industry. So, for example, there's no doubt that the virus is out of control in the Bahamas.
He added that health officials are having a difficult time managing the crisis as is and questioned what will happen if cases increase when visitors return. Davis also slammed the fact that tourists may be allowed to go on beaches when Bahamians are locked down on the weekends.
The virus is more quickly spread and transmitted in closed environments, in offices, in rooms, in meeting places, in bars, not on the beach. They have no difficulty in discriminating against us. Right? The mantra of making Bahamians second-class citizens in their own country.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
Immigration Minister Ellsworth Johnson says there is a lot of interest in the new extended stay visa program. The program would allow applicants to work or study remotely in the Bahamas for up to a year. Johnson said with the pandemic escalating around the world, the Bahamas is a lovely place for people to come and isolate.
So you had any number of persons wanting to bring their entire families and applying for permits to reside for a year, and these persons do not present security issues and or in terms of financial issues in terms of how they will take care of themselves. So there's no strain, there will be no strain on our educational sector and or on our healthcare sector. So the response has been very good.
He added that Bahamians must continue to be safe in order to market the country as a well-regulated jurisdiction where people can work, play, and study from. Johnson said government continues to upgrade the immigration department to compete worldwide.
We have revitalized the complaints and corruption section. You know now that we're cashless because of complaints from different areas in the community, especially the immigrant community. Monarch House is up. We want to go paperless. We want to have every person's like everywhere around the world for you to have the opportunity to upload your applications from home. And once we have completed these things, about 60% of the complaints that we have now will fall away.
When Our News comes back from the break, Bahamas Air's international flights to resume soon. Plus, one girl's wish to brighten Christmas for others. Stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference, more the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on our TV.
International Bahamas Air flights could resume by next week, according to the airline's chairman, Tommy Turnquist, who says once domestic travel protocols are established, the airline will seek the green light from the government to resume international flights.
We're in discussions with the government with regards to the restarting, obviously with the new travel protocol in terms of the health visa, the cost of the health visa, what's required for travelers. They wanted to get that started, which started on November 1st. They're looking at November 8th for domestic travel. And once that's up and running, we hope that we'll be able to start in our international routes the following week.
According to Turnquist, the airline is eyeing Florida for its first round of international flights.
Initially, we're still only talking about Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, initially. We're looking at going into Miami as well in terms of some other opportunities that we have there. So again, we're gonna go into Miami once a day in the morning, and we're looking at that. And then we'll look at the Abaco West Palm Beach route thereafter.
Flights into Haiti, Cuba, and Turks and Caicos would be next. However, there will not be any flight promotions anytime soon, according to Turnquist, who said the airline supports the government's request for residents not to travel.
We're not going to be offering any promotional fares. The government, quite rightly, is still discouraging Bahamians from traveling overseas. In fact, they're discouraging Bahamians until we get the community spread under control from going out in the community. Well, if you're going overseas, that's a wider community. So obviously they're trying to discourage that. And so we're not going to do anything that's going to thwart or discourage the government's plan.
A young girl's wish to brighten Christmas for others. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Stay connected to the things and people you love, no matter what. Watch your favorite shows on TV, enjoy RevGo Play and HBO Go free. Experience lightning-fast internet speeds, unlimited local and international calling, free virtual number, and free RevGo voice app, all still only $99. Call 601-8992 or email trio@cablebahamas.com to sign up. Rev, you and us together.
Christmas will be a bit merrier for some children thanks to a 4-year-old girl on a mission. With many strapped for cash, Brielle and Brister sold cupcakes to raise money for toys to give children during the holidays.
I make them because I want to make boys and girls happy.
What are you going to do with the money?
I'm going to do with the money is buy some toys for boys and girls who mommies and daddy are not fortunate to buy it. I made over $1,000.
Brielle said she plans to make the cupcake sale an annual event and even shared her 3 favorite flavors.
Vanilla, chocolate, and red Melvin.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a good evening, Bahamas.